Hello, Marky Dragon, also known as Marcus Eikenberry in real life. And Bitcoin continues to be a rocket. Bitcoin Gold is not going to have any support at Coinbase. And I am not going to publish these videos at a scheduled time every day. I've decided that now I'm just going to publish them as soon as they're recorded, because this stuff's just happening too fast. So, okay, let's first talk about Bitcoin in the challenge here. And it is going nuts. So Bitcoin just continues to take off like a rocket. At the time of recording here, it's 61.35. Yesterday, that's up 8% from yesterday. And I started doing some trades and everything. I am not at 8% profit. In fact, I am upside down at the moment, waiting for some stuff to happen. And it continues to look like that the proper answer for my $100 in the challenge would be to just put it in Bitcoin and hold. And the problem is that's boring. And for the purposes of trading and everything, so I have other funds that I have in Bitcoin and I'm just holding, and it's incredible, the growth of Bitcoin. But for the challenge, I just can't dump it all in there and just say, oh, it went up another 5% today. Oh, look at me. There's no work involved with that. But if I were going to recommend to somebody of, what I think is the best method at the moment for making their 1% a day in this challenge, it's definitely just put it in Bitcoin and hold. But that doesn't do anything for us learning in here, other than there are some times when it's appropriate to put your money in to an area and just leave it there. Let it sit long term. So instead of short-term gains, this is a long-term gain. And but sometimes that's right. Sometimes that's what's needed. And so in this case, I am not going to do that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out how to get about 25% of my funds, my $100 funds in the challenge into Bitcoin. Now that's going to be a little bit of a trick, because if we have $100 in and it's currently at 61.29, that means that I'm going to have to spend $61.29 at minimum to get into it. So here's my plan. It's a dastardly plan. My plan is that I'm going to buy more than 1%, and then I'm going to sell off all but, $25 worth. And so then I'll just sit and hold on about $25 worth. The rest of it, I'll play with it in Ethereum and Litecoin. So, but I already, the markets are in this big upheaval, and there's something happening here which I'm learning a lot about all of this, by the way, folks. So I am definitely learning here that just putting in my money and trying to buy low and sell high is while it's a method that I think can work, I don't think it's the absolute right method. And what I mean by that is that really, on a simpler scale, you need to buy at the dips. And, so, you'd buy down in here, or you'd buy down in here, and then you'd, sell up in here. The problem with Bitcoin, well, it's not actually a problem that it keeps going up and up and up, because if you can buy lower and it keeps going up and you can keep reselling, then you can make money. But here's the challenge. Are you then buying in again at a higher rate, or are you buying in these dips? And so if you have to buy again at a rate higher than what you just sold at because this is going up too quickly, you've missed profit. You should have just bought and hold. And so it presents a bit of a challenge there in the way of thinking, because this is not going up and down all over the place. Not the same as some of the other stuff. So it does have a little bit of a flat line here and everything, but this right here clearly is just going up and up and up. So some of the stuff that I'm seeing out there, I've been reading in different groups. I'm in this private trading group, and I'm been reading news articles and stuff, and people who are, big advisors on trading and everything. Even in the stock market, people are talking about this, and the general consensus seems to be that you buy right now and you hold until 7,500, and so that seems to be, where a lot of the advice is standing at the moment. And they're saying that they may even revise that when it gets closer to the 7,500 mark, and they may tell you a higher place to sit. Everything indicates that before the end of the year, we could definitely see 10,000. Now, I am no expert in this stuff, so all I'm doing is sharing with you what I'm doing and, what feels right for me. Now, for the first time in a long time, starting this challenge yesterday, I immediately had some doubt in myself, in my ability to make decisions and stuff. And that is not a normal operating area for me. Things are usually very, very clear for me. But, what I did was I purchased when Bitcoin was Ethereum was at 305 and at 302. I made a couple of purchases, knowing that I had seen patterns here before of it going up and down. And, so it was going like 313 here, and it comes down to 280 here, and it comes up to 304 here, and 315 here and stuff. So I've been seeing this pattern, and I'm like, okay, at 302 and 305 I can buy, and then I can place it at a higher amount, and I can make my 1% or whatever. And, I should be able to turn that over, within 24 hours or whatnot. That's my thought. But then overnight, it just keeps going down, down, down. So, and I'm in at 302 and 305. So now it's at 295. I should have bought right now, really. It might go down some more, and I know this will go back up, but it gives me pause, and I look at this, and I say, how long do I have to wait? How far is Bitcoin going to go? And Bitcoin and Ethereum are tied together. I believe they are tied together in a relationship that may not be something that you would recognize right off the start. Let me show you what I mean here. So if we look at like the 6-hour charts here and everything, especially starting here and going down and down, and we look over at Bitcoin and we look at 6-hour charts, every time there's a big increase in Bitcoin, there is a relative equal action, the opposite direction, in Ethereum. And so, we have this going down here, and when I was looking at it yesterday, and it was quite interesting because while Bitcoin was just going straight up, Ethereum was going straight down and everything. And so here's what I'm hearing people say about this. They are saying that people are unloading their altcoins, which is, I think, pretty much everything that's not Bitcoin. They're unloading their altcoins, and they're selling them so that they can buy into Bitcoin. And it makes sense. I mean, the growth of Bitcoin is just stupid crazy. And when you look at this, I mean, it right now is at 8.45% from 24 hours ago. I mean, where else can you make 8% in 24 hours? So that's just insane. And so anyway, that's kind of what's happening. So these big increases in Bitcoin are causing the other cryptocurrencies to go down. Now, it's not 100% fact, but it's kind of a trend. But you know, like Litecoin here hasn't been effect to it in quite the same way, but it has also been effect to it. And here again, I bought some Litecoin. I bought it at 59.71. I was comfortable buying below 60 so that I could sell just above 60, not quite 61. I waited for a point to enter in on that, and I purchased, and now I'm waiting for it to sell. Again, I'm just stuck holding. I've got 21 cents left over, which isn't enough to do anything. And so am I willing to dump out of these so that I can try and, you know, play in the market some more? I don't know. You know? I mean, is that logical? Maybe. Maybe it is. So I am deciding, against my internal excitement about Bitcoin, that I'm going to sit in these for a little while. And you can see the sheet here. I did a tabulation last night because I did one of them as an instant buy and paid a little bit of commission on it or whatnot. I'm down 13 cents as of yesterday. So when I tabulate tonight, I don't know what it's going to look like. If I have not sold some of these, it's going to be even lower. But when they sell, supposedly it'll go up higher, and I'll make that back, and then I'm going to buy some Bitcoin, and I'm going to hold in Bitcoin for a day, and then I'm going to sell off part of that. That is my current plan. Is that the right plan? I don't know. You know, hindsight will be 20/20. Forward sight is like hard. So another thing I added here, and my wife Lisa, she started entering in numbers, and in her first day she's up 13 cents. So we'll see what she's at today, and she'll be putting in her numbers as well. So, by the way, this if you're joining us on the challenge, there is a link in the description to this spreadsheet. And you just hit File and Save to your Google Drive. On this, you got to be signed in, and then you can take over like the U.S. template or the Euro template, whichever, and use it as your own. So, okay, now. And you can start late. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter when you start this. So I added here as well another little block, and this is just information for myself. So I took a snapshot yesterday of Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin all at the same time. These are what they were at yesterday. And then last day of the challenge, I'm going to take a snapshot again, and we'll see what change in percentage if we had purchased the $100 worth and held. How much that would have equated, as opposed to doing trading. So that way we can look at this and say, buying Bitcoin and holding was the right answer, or even Ethereum, or even Litecoin. And this doesn't count all the other coins that are out there, which I think we'll get into after the challenge. So I think there's a lot of opportunity in a lot of the other coins, such as Zcash. In the last couple of days. I mean, it skyrocketed 180% in one day, a couple days ago. And the people that got in on that, a lot of them doubled their money. And they knew when to pull back out and everything. And so those are some pretty incredible numbers. But there's also pretty incredible risk. And so what is it that those people who look at the patterns, look at the trends and everything, what is it that they're looking at that they know? How do we know that? That's what I want to know. Okay, so that's where I'm at for the day for the challenge. Feel free to put in the comments of where you're at for the challenge. Feel free to, in Discord, which is a link in the description for Discord, to discuss in there in the cryptocurrency channel. Post some screenshots of your success or your demise, and talk about what you're doing right and what you haven't felt right about and everything, so we can all learn. Okay, so another big announcement, and that is that Bitcoin Cash, or Bitcoin Gold, officially will not be supported by Coinbase. And so they made this announcement in a FAQ that about Bitcoin Gold, which that fork comes up on the 25th of October. And so here's what they say. They left themselves an out. What they say is that because Bitcoin Gold has not allowed them to see source code of the platform, that they officially will not be supporting it because they think that this is a security risk. Whereas Segwit X2 has shared the code with them and they feel comfortable with it, and so they are going to be supporting that. So what does that mean? Okay, so for those of you who have any holdings in Bitcoin, on October 25th, when the fork happens, which is happening at a block number, which means, and not necessarily a date. So if volumes go apeshit crazy, then it may very well happen before, or if it slows down, it may happen after the 25th. And so, because of this, when a fork happens, it splits into two currencies. And not all the time, but many times, it goes to where you have your Bitcoin, and now you have Bitcoin Gold. And Bitcoin may retain its value, or it may lose some value, depending on how Bitcoin Gold is perceived. I think that in this play where Coinbase is saying that they're not going to support Bitcoin Gold, they don't have a whole lot of faith as well that it is going to be worth a lot. But who knows? So there's going to be some sort of value there in that Bitcoin Gold. Now, the only way to realize that value is to not have your Bitcoin on Coinbase or GDAX when the split happens. And now what they've also said is that they reserve the right to change their mind later. And that if they change their mind later, that anybody who is holding Bitcoin on the Coinbase platform will get their split or their fork or their Bitcoin Gold. And so that's going to be just strange. And also, this is unconfirmed, but people keep mentioning that Bitcoin Cash split, which Coinbase said that they were going to support, which already happened a few months ago or more, that nobody has received their Bitcoin Cash yet from that split. So this leaves it all up to you to manage this and take care of this. And so I have there are a couple of things that you can do. One is that you have to have your Bitcoin off of Coinbase. Can't be in GDAX or in Coinbase. It has to be off of there. And in order to move it off of there, you got to have a wallet. So I've looked over Electrum, and I think that as a software wallet that exists on a machine, that it looks fine. And now, and I'm just saying this from my personal experience. You guys got to know, I have a lot of gaps in my knowledge of this stuff. And so it's up to you to make sure that you are comfortable with whatever here. Don't just 100% blindly follow anything that I say, because tomorrow I may say, I figured out something new and it really changes the way I think about things. Or in a really bad case, it could be like, well, I found out Electrum was a scam. Well, it's not, at least from what I can see. And there's a lot of people using it, and there's a lot of recommendations for it. So I don't think that's the case, but I'm just saying that you cannot 100% blindly just trust whatever I say. You have to, with this stuff, go forth and prove it to yourself. And so anyway, Electrum looks okay. There's also paper wallets. And paper wallets are, offline storage that you go and put in your safety deposit box and everything. And they're a different animal, but they'll have codes on them or QR codes or whatnot where you deposit money to that, and you can keep that one out in public so that you can, send money to it at any time. It's the private key for pulling, taking money back off of it that you hide so securely, and you, treat like it's gold, So, and you don't let anybody see it. You don't even let anybody photograph it. You don't let anybody in cameras around it. Nothing. And people in the cryptocurrency markets are insanely conspiracy theory. And probably a lot of that comes from because not everybody understands what the hell they're doing in these markets. And so there's all these gray areas and there's all these things that happen without explanation. And so, it just leads to conspiracy theories. One of the conspiracy theories is that Coinbase wants to keep all of your Bitcoin gold, and so they're not going to support it because they're going to profit off of that. Well, I suppose that if it forks, it has to go somewhere. That it's going to go to them. Maybe they make $1 billion off of it, and it's worth it for them to do that. I don't know. Do I fully trust Coinbase and all of these other places? 100%? Not 100%. Hell, I don't even trust banks, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, and stuff. I don't trust them 100% either. I gotta look at everything that's going on and verify that stuff and make sure that it's all legit. So anyway, that is, I'm not a conspiracy theory type of guy. I'm very much an optimist, and I think conspiracy theories are a lot in the realm of people who are pessimists. But I do recognize that there are issues here, and a lot of it has to do with lack of knowledge on many people's parts, and that's a problem. So, okay. So for myself, I'm going to be taking my my Bitcoin that's not in the challenge offline out of Coinbase, and I'm doing it straight away. So I'm not gonna wait. Since it's a block number that gets hit that causes this this fork to happen, I'm not gonna wait. And then I'm gonna hold off with that funding over there, that money there, and I'm just gonna hold off through the SegWit split as well, and then I will figure out the proper way to bring those back into the marketplace. And it's complicated. And part of the reason it's complicated is because I don't 100% understand it. And maybe I will understand it better once I have done it, and then I can advise in the future. But right now, I can't tell you how to do it because I haven't figured it out yet. I have figured out, like I tested Electrum and I tested Paper Wallet stuff, and I've figured out how to send money to them and how to get it back. And that was my biggest thing. And then also how to recover. Electrum has an interesting thing where there's these phrases and you print it out and you go and put it in your safety deposit box and everything. And then you can install it on a different machine, or if your machine gets wiped out or whatnot, you use this passphrase to recover your account. And so that is your security. And if you lose this passphrase, then you are screwed. You do not lose that passphrase. And so that's a big deal. And there are, the Electrum site talks about how to do that, and it walks you through it and everything. And so if you're worried about that, you have time to set it up and to do a test transfer to it of, like 1% of a Bitcoin or whatever. Transfer it out, transfer it back. It's going to charge you. The charges were over $2 each way. And that's a network fee that you pay. You pay that to the network. You pay that to the miners for processing the transaction. And I think that it doesn't matter how much you're transferring. I think that the network fee is just kind of there. And that's what it is. So it makes sense that instead of, transferring $10 worth of Bitcoin and having a $2.50 fee, that you're transferring, if you have $1,000 worth of Bitcoin, that you're transferring 1,000. But for a test, plan on spending, $5 or whatever, so that you can test transferring it there, test transferring some back, and make sure that it works for you. You got to make sure that works. If you send Bitcoin to an address that is not valid, you know what happens? it's gone. You're like, whoa, well, just pull it back. No, it is gone. It's just gone. So there is no safety net there. That's why you test with a small amount. That's why in this competition we're testing with $100 instead of $1,000 or $10,000. So, okay, now that is my philosophy, my thoughts, my theory on Bitcoin and on these forks, and that is how I am dealing with it. You got to make up your own ways. So, and then after the forks, and after I have successfully been through the forks and have my SegWit and have my Bitcoin Gold, then I will relate my experience to you on how that went. I'm hoping it goes well, you know? So, okay. So that is that. Now, I'm just stuck in a holding pattern at the moment. By the end of today, we'll see what happens. Also, you know, some of the pro traders are saying that this weekend is going to be really crazy, and they're not planning on doing many trades. They're afraid of the market, how it's looking here and everything, and probably that's partly because of Bitcoin just doing this rocket ship thing. It's on a trajectory that's just really insane, and it causes a lot of emotional decisions, and so you know, in fact, I will just fess up and tell you about what I did yesterday with my Bitcoin and what happened. Because you know, I was doing the show yesterday, show for Eve, and Bitcoin was just breakout crazy, and it was going up and up and up and up and up, and I knew that I wanted to sell. I had planned on, but I pulled everything out of GDAX, so for doing the challenge, and I knew that I'd wanted to sell right before the 6,000 mark, thinking that it's probably going to come back down to somewhere between 5,500 and 5,700. And so when it hit like 59.70 or whatnot, I went into my Coinbase account while I was on the air. I didn't tell anybody I was doing this, and I went in there and I hit sell all, and I did. I sold all of it. It cost me. How much to sell it? Well, it doesn't show it to me in here. Which doing buys and sells directly from Coinbase, there's other charges involved that are not present in GDAX, and it cost me $14 to sell. And so I sold it, and it was all looking really great, and things were hunky dory. And then last night, I'm like, you know, waiting for the crash after achieving this huge milestone, and that never happened. And so it just kept going up and up and up, and it's continued that overnight into today. And so yesterday I ended up buying in again. At a little bit higher rate. So what I did was I missed some of the gap in the profit there. So I spent $14 to do it, and then I bought again, and it was, you know, am I up overall in money? Oh, hell yeah. But that was a mistake. And that was based off an emotional decision. That was based off of seeing everything that was going on and getting caught up in the hype and not being able to participate in it properly because my attention was focused on my work, the other live streaming that I do. And so, you know, I made a mistake. I made a decision on the fly while I'm dealing with other stuff. And you know what? I am not going to do that again. This is going to be my rule. I am just going to miss opportunity rather than to make a dumb move like that again. And that's all on me to abide by that. And so if I want to sell, like right before it hits the $6,000 mark, you know, that kind of scenario, then I should have had a limit sell order placed beforehand. But I had taken everything out of, I'd been taking everything out of GDAX to participate in the you know, contest we're doing, sort of the challenge. And so, you know, otherwise I would have had it, because I did have that in there for several days. I had it just sitting there waiting. But it still would have been the wrong decision, because it hasn't come back down yet. Now, if it crashes down to the 5,500 mark or whatever today or tomorrow, then it would have been the right decision, but I didn't have the knowledge to know that. Otherwise, I'd hang on to the money right now, you know, but I still have to have all that Bitcoin so that I can put it offline so that I can go through the forks. So that is, you know, I just did it to myself. You know, you know what you call those mistakes? You call them expensive education. And so I learned a lesson from that, which is to not make these decisions that are not well thought through. So another way to look at that is that when I go and buy a car, I go out there and I look at cars and I'm like, ooh, that car looks really nice. And the salesman's really good. He's making me all these deals, all these offers and everything. Well, in order to keep my emotion from spending my dollars, because that car looks absolutely awesome, even though I don't know much about it, you know, maybe I need to do some research or whatnot. I always go into a car dealership, and the very first thing I tell a salesman is that if I decide I want whatever car you're showing me, I am not giving you an answer until tomorrow. Even if I feel like right now I want to, I am not giving you an answer until tomorrow. And I'm not going to do the purchase until tomorrow if I decide to do that. And that drives car salesmen nuts, because they want to feed off of your emotion and get you to buy right then. How do I know this? I actually did car sales as a teenager for a while. Oh my, some of the stuff I've been into. So, you know, it's hard to do. And you get a lot of pressure from the salespeople saying, don't wait. This car may not be here tomorrow. Well, the fact is, if that car is not there tomorrow and you really liked it, then just go look for another one of those cars that's the same. It may not be on their lot. They may miss out on the opportunity to sell it to you, but that's what you do. So you don't have to make decisions like that. Oh gosh, I got a Murloc in my pocket and he wants out. So anyway, that is my philosophy on it, and that is what I'm going to kind of use that kind of philosophy for my trading here, that I'm going to be a little bit more methodical and pre-planned about it. And if I miss an opportunity, if that car gets sold before I come back, then so be it. It wasn't meant to be. And I think in the long run that I'll be much happier and more profitable by making good decisions. So, okay. So do share your experiences in the comments. Also in Discord, feel free to post screenshots in there in the cryptocurrency channel and share your experiences, share your successes, your wins, your losses, and you know. So hope to see you there. And next video will be tomorrow. Take care, everybody.